As you all descend into the depths of the ocean, looking for the lost treasure that's rumored to be here, you chance a look up and see the light of the surface slowly shrinking away. After several minutes of your underwater descent, you see the wreck of the Baron's airship that crashed 100 years ago start to form out of the darkness of the sea floor. Off to your left, though, one of you catches a glimpse of movement out of the corner of your eye. Another one of you sees something off to the right. Then in front, behind, above, below, you're all surrounded by a pack of sharks who seem to think you'd make a tasty dinner. Roll initiative. Hello, and welcome to Tuna's Tales. For this installment of Pondering Monsters, we'll be looking at the reef shark, a CR 1/2 beast that hunts in packs and lives in the ocean. If your party is looking to go swimming for really any reason, a group of these would be a good introduction to their first deep dive. So, what can our party expect from such a creature? Let's find out. I'm going to call out a quick content warning here for anyone with a fear of deep/open waters or sharks and the like. This may not be the video for you, but if you want to see what's in store for this one, keep watching. If you want to skip ahead to the scaling section, then just go to this timestamp. Quick summary though, so you know what's what in the scaling section. The party is underwater, and they encounter some sharks. Other than that though, you've been warned. Okay, if you're still here, first off, thank you. And second, let's see just what is better down where it's wetter, under the sea. Needless to say, the most important bit of this encounter is to get your party in the water. If they're diving for treasure, thrown off the side of a boat due to the weather, or magically teleported to the elemental plane of water, all that matters is that they swim with the fishes. Once they're down there, if they haven't prepared for underwater things, they're going to have some trouble. According to the rules for underwater combat found in the player's handbook on page 198, the following things apply to creatures without a swimming speed. Melee weapon attacks are made at disadvantage unless the weapon is a dagger, javelin, shortsword, spear, or trident, and ranged weapon attacks automatically miss targets beyond the weapon's normal range, while attacks made within the normal range still have disadvantage, unless the weapon is a crossbow, net, or something that's thrown like a javelin. But wait, there's more. Because unless they have a swim speed, a character's movement underwater is typically half of their normal movement speed. This means that the sharks in question here are going to be swimming circles around unprepared parties. And all of this is before we even consider how the party is getting air, but that one is fairly straightforward and is more of a them problem than a you problem. When it comes to the sharks, they attack, and how well the party does is really dependent on how prepared they were and how fast they can react to the situation. As for how this all shakes out, a little later I'll be covering some tactics that the sharks could be using to make this more than your normal beast brawl. For now though, let's see what questions come bubbling up out of the depths. We really only have two questions for this encounter when we start trying to break it down. How many reef sharks do we use, and what are these tactics you speak of? Any other questions we can come up with are very dependent on your game. Things like, why is the party underwater in the first place, can really be answered by anything you want that makes sense. I gave a few ideas earlier in the video, but if you still want more, I've got you. You could run something similar to the lake scene in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, where some Sahuagin have kidnapped a beloved NPC of the party and they need to go into the water to get them back. Or the classic magic MacGuffin is in an old underwater temple and the party needs to get it before fighting the BBEG. You can come up with a lot of different options here, and there would be no wrong answers. That being said though, let's get back to the questions at hand, starting with, how many reef sharks do we use? For our typical 5th level party of 5, I'd recommend 6 reef sharks if they haven't prepared to be underwater, and 8 to 10 if they have. You can always add more or less, of course, and there's no issue in having more show up or some run away, depending on how the combat is going. What are these tactics? For this question, I'm going to recommend a book. There's a series called The Monsters Know What They're Doing by author Keith Amon. There's also a blog that covers the same content, which I've linked below. In this book and blog, Keith talks about how to run intelligent monsters. Not intelligent in the sense of having a high int score, though he does cover that at one point, but in the sense of the monsters actually know what they're doing. They're more than a bag of hit points who stand around mindlessly waiting to get done in. In his writings, he doesn't actually seem to cover reef sharks specifically that I could find, though he does cover beasts in general. For me, just reading some of his ideas on the different tactics that creatures can use put me in the mindset of how to apply these to any beast, and that's my intent with this video. So, what tactics would these sharks be using? I feel that wolf-like tactics would fit quite well. The reef shark stat block has the pack tactics ability, which tells me that they naturally travel in packs and would know how to work together. This would look like some number of the reef sharks, always in at least a pair so they get their pack tactics, attacking one or two different characters. With 6 of them, you could have 3 sharks on one character and 3 on another, 2, 2, and 2, or all 6 on one. They would also probably be able to pick out the slowest of the group and focus in on them. Or you could have them go after someone who's already a little hurt, a blood in the water situation. Then, to drive home the point that these sharks are in their element, they could try to drag someone away from the group. Reason could be they want a peaceful meal, or maybe someone is controlling them. This can result in a chase or a potential future rescue attempt by the party. Or, if one player needs an excuse to not show up for a little bit, then their character gets dragged away, the party doesn't manage to save them, and the character meets up with the party later with whatever tale you and they want on how they escaped. As the sharks close in around you, you feel the first one bite at you and latch on, trying to get a taste. Sensing the blood in the water, the rest of them swarm in. Alright, your party is in combat with these sharks, and they're chomping away. If you pair them up right, then every shark should be getting advantage on their attack rolls, and that's the key to this encounter. 6 reef sharks aren't that tough, but when all of them have advantage, the chances to be an issue at low levels is increased. For example, let's say they all decide to start attacking a character with plate armor and a shield. This character has a 20 AC, and the reef sharks have a +4 to hit. That means they need to roll a 16 or higher to actually do anything. Without advantage, they have a 25% chance of success on an attack, but as soon as we get that advantage roll, the 25% jumps up to almost 44%. Still not guaranteed, but when you have 3 to 6 of them attacking the same creature, hits are going to start getting through. However, math aside, if one character proves too tough to hit on a consistent basis, then the sharks are just going to move on to the next nearest target and try again. If they're successful, maybe they start trying to swim away with someone. This is where the rest of the sharks can either move on to another character, or follow and take bites at the captured character. Otherwise, I'd say that if the party manages to take out half to 2/3 of the sharks, then the rest will start running away. At that point, they've lost significant numbers and most of their chances at advantage. This food was too tough, and they need to move on to something easier. If you skipped to this point because of the warning earlier, welcome back. If you've been here all along, then thanks again. Alright, let's figure out how to make this tougher now, shall we? First up, the Old Faithfuls. Add more creatures, bump their AC and or hit points, or increase their 2-hit bonus. All of these are reasonable places to start and can give you that tiny boost you may be looking for. If you want something a little meatier, well, what if you swap the Reef Shark stat block with a tougher shark? The Hunter Shark is a CR2, so a good step up in challenge rating, and it has similar stats. Replace the Blood Frenzy ability with Pack Tactics, and you've got a good replacement for a low-powered level 10 party. If you have a high-powered level 10 party, or even a level 15 party, then you can do the same thing, but with the Giant Shark stat block. Again, replace Blood Frenzy with Pack Tactics, and if we use 6 of them against 5 15th level characters, that maths out to a hard encounter based around the CR calculations. As usual with basing things off of the CR calculations, your mileage may vary, but I find it's a good starting point before tweaking things around. Also, I'm assuming that if you're running a game for characters at this high of a level, then you probably have had some time learning what they can handle based off of earlier encounters. If you have that knowledge, then starting with the CR and tweaking it from there is a great approach in my opinion. No matter what though, just do what you think will be the most fun for your table, and you'll do fine. And with that, we have a way to explore some watery depths and put our party in front of some fathomless peril. Hopefully you now feel like going out and running in underwater combat in your next game, and if you do, feel free to tell me how it went in the comments below. If you liked the addition of monster tactics to our DM tool belts, then why not leave a like on the video, and if you're looking forward to whatever the next monster I cover may be, then you should subscribe and do that thing with the bell so you can get notified. As usual, thanks for letting me talk to you all, and until next time, keep pondering.